Has there ever been a time when motherhood and the career warred greatly between each other? If so, how did you handle it?
Well, honestly, in the beginning of my career, I struggled with it. I did, honestly. I've been in this industry now for 5 years, and I'll say the last couple of years, I have understood how important it is to keep my family first, and my sanity and my spirituality and my morals and the things that truly define who I am. But in the beginning, I'll be honest with you, it was all work. It was all work, and prime example is I remember my son's birthday. My son's birthday falls on like Memorial Day weekend. It's right there. And I remember when I first got in the industry, like I missed his first, like that first year I was in the industry, I missed his birthday because I was away for work. And I remember just the feeling of guilt and just saying like, wow, like I'm not there for my son's birthday. And of course we celebrated beforehand. But there's nothing that, that could really, as a mother, like take that guilt away. And so, now going forward, I always have opportunities to take trips during Memorial Day for work. And I say I can't. I said, that's my son's birthday. Like, and birthdays, that's the day I gave birth to him. Like, that's his day. So, it's important to me now that, like, even if I have an opportunity to travel for work and I might be on some glorious island, like that's my child. If he can't come with me, then I have to say I'm sorry, I can't go, because you truly have to prioritize it. And when my son is 20, he's gonna look back and say he's not gonna understand that it was work. He's gonna say my mom wasn't there. And that's important to me, that he doesn't have things like that to say. Like it's hard enough already. Like there isn't enough time in the day right now to spend with him. And and I always feel like, oh, I wish there were more time in the day. So, because he doesn't get to have me 24/7, the time that he does get me, I try to make certain that that's his time. You know what I mean? And that's it. Period.
Some may view some of the music on urban radio stations as negative and damaging to the community. Others may view the station's community activities as an asset. What are your views of the station's line between commerce and responsibility from the standpoint of a producer and then as a single mother?
Well, it's funny because we just had a meeting today, and it was asked in our meeting about a particular song from an A-list artist, and it's a new song that a lot of the other radio stations are playing. And someone asked, how do we feel about this song, considering a couple of the verses are extremely explicit? And it was funny because I said I think we have enough sex on the radio right now. Like, we can forego that for a while. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be some sort of balance. Overall, I look at it as bait. Like, this to me there's a bigger picture to it. The bigger picture is the influence that we have on the community. But being realistic with our generation today, they're the type of generation, kids, youth, that you have to bait. You know what I mean? If you're like, come in, I want to sit down and school you on something, or teach you something, or help, develop great character, they're gonna, a lot of them will be like, oh no, I'm good, I'll pass. But if you lure them in with catchy lyrics and a hook and, a little bit of bling, then you're able to reel them in and then do the same thing, but you are masking it with something that appeals to them. And I think that if you understand that it's to be used as bait at times, and I'm not saying that you should, there should be still some boundaries. But, a lot of the mainstream music that, is a little edgy, and, I may cringe when my son hears it, or I hear him singing it to the T, I cringe as a mom. But then I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. Like, what's real and what's not real? Like, I think that no matter what your children listen to or watch on TV, that there still has to be parenting at home to rebound it or combat that, to be able to say, that's not real life, son. And you know, it's funny because having a child in the industry, my son will ask me all the time, Mommy, why did Lil Wayne go to jail? And I tell him the truth. He got in trouble because of guns. Well, why can't you have guns? Well, you can, but there's a process that you have to be registered, and if you don't follow that process, it's against the law. You know, and he'll ask me things like, why did Jeezy get arrested? He got into a fight. Why did Michael Vick go? You know, he'll ask those questions, and I think, you know, just being very honest with him and open and just saying, you know, they're real people. They're people just like you and I. Just because they're on TV and they drive a fast car doesn't make them different from you or I. They make mistakes just like us. And you know, these songs are created for entertainment because they're catchy and, you know, they make us feel good for this time being, but that's not how we define our lives, and that's not what we live by. They don't set the standard. Mommy and Daddy and God set the standard, period. And I think that as long as you have that balance, then it's okay. But the problem occurs when a child hears that and they don't have anyone on the other side saying, that's not real. Like, that's not what we believe in, and that's not the proper way to do it. I know they're glorifying sex, but you shouldn't have sex until you're married. Like, if there's no balance, then of course, you know, the children will get wrapped up in that, and that will become their reality. But first and foremost, I think it's so important that when you have a child, as a parent, you have a responsibility to care for that child. And it's not just putting food on the table and a roof over their head, clothes on their back, but it's also making sure that their mind is healthy, that their self-esteem is at one, and that, you know, that their confidence is at a good level where it should be. And I think if you don't do that, then of course the media will raise your children, and that's always going to be a bad thing.
There's been a lot of talk of the Performance Rights Act within the radio industry and how artists should be paid by the radio stations for their airplay. One group may say it will be an end to urban radio, and another group may say stations should pay as they do the television stations and cable stations. What are your thoughts?
I mean, honestly, I think that if an artist creates a song and it's the understanding that, you know, the song is being created, one, because they love it, but two, it's a business. It's the music business, and you know, and I feel like they should get paid for it, honestly. I think, you know, with sales of commercials and how radio stations generate revenue, I think that it's only fair to pay the artists for the music that they create. You know, I think it's fair, and you know, there might need to be some boundaries and, you know, limitations drawn, so, you know, that it doesn't get outrageous. But at the end of the day, if they created the music, then they should get paid for the creation that they made. Period.